everyone, this is Heidi.
And this is Franny.
And today we're going to talk to you about what we have spent on our 2004 996 Turbo. So what I've done is I've broken out all the individual costs that it cost us for the last...
Sorry, do you think maybe we could get a little better location than inside the dingy old garage here? Maybe something more like this? That's better. Okay, so Heidi, you were saying?
Yeah, so we bought our car used. We bought it used in 2014, and actually about 4 years ago. And some of the major service that had been done to the car before we bought the car was the clutch accumulator was rebuilt at 18,000 miles. The battery was replaced. The clutch slave cylinder was replaced at 28,000 miles. The power steering pump at 32,000 miles.
Now I wanted to go on and talk a little bit about that power steering pump. Now it's kind of a funny thing. The pump didn't fail. It was just super duper noisy. So Porsche redesigned it. It's kind of a funny thing. There was a piece inside it that the fluid had to flow by and it was making a bunch of noise. So they redesigned it. So this car has the redesigned power steering pump in it.
Okay, and then the front left wheel bearing was replaced. The front axle was replaced from a leak at 39,000 miles.
Which that seems kind of funny to me that would happen, yeah. But whatever. At any rate, all of this was done under warranty. Right. So that's why it's so important to have the full set of records. Mm-hmm. And since all of this was done under warranty and done at the dealership was able to tell us what had been done on the car. So that was actually really, really a real big plus.
And of course the car had, you know, annual service, oil changes, filters, wiper blades, that sort of thing.
Yep.
Okay, so then before we bought the car, we spent $306 having a pre-purchase inspection, otherwise known as a PPI. So some of the things that the pre-purchase inspection found was that the low tone horn was bad. So this is a duo horn car. It has two different tones. And that was wrong.
So one of them had pooped out.
Right. Yep. Small oil dampness at front of engine.
Which that was inconclusive about what that would be. So it was so small it wouldn't have been a shaft bearing or anything. So I'm not sure what that was.
The car still had its original coolant.
It should have been flushed out a long time ago.
Right. Front shock caps worn.
Yeah, so at the top of the shock towers in the front there's a little bushing up in there, and those can wear out and allow the shock tower to move ever so slightly and cause a little bit of looseness in the handling and also in the alignment as well. So that's something we still actually have to fix.
So the rear tires were 30% worn. I believe within a year they were like 99% worn.
They were about 110%
after we
worn.
bought the car. Yeah, right. They were way gone.
Yeah.
So it needed an oil change.
Yep.
It needed air filters, and so there were several items that the PPI missed.
Yeah. So so that's the thing about PPI. So we spent $300. We had the PPI done at a dealership because it's a more modern car.
Right.
Maybe an indie shop would be better. I don't know. At any rate, we got it done at a dealership, and it's a dealership we trust, and we still do.
Yeah.
But they missed a few things, and that's our thing about PPIs is I think you should always get one, but don't just
expect that they're going to get absolutely everything.
Right. It's never perfect.
Probably won't. I mean.
So in this car, what they missed were some weeping radiators. Both radiators, one was almost leaking and one was definitely weeping. This car has 3 of them.
That was a big miss,
That was kind of a big deal.
Kind of a huge miss.
Kind of expensive too.
Yeah, and then
the the idle was not settling down on this car. When it would get hot, the idle would climb up and then go back down and up and down. It's all over the place.
But remember, it didn't actually do that until the first time we drove it home. So that was something that the dealership was not going to find anyway.
You know why? Because they didn't drive the car.
No.
So they didn't drive the car.
Right.
Had they driven the car, that probably would have fixed. They probably would have found that.
And the next problem, which was it found several turbo air leaks as well.
Yeah.
So you didn't have that nice whooshy sound initially when you stepped on the gas.
Well, yeah, because after the turbos on the pressurized side, there were some leaks, and those had to be sorted as well. And in fact, I thought that's what the problem was. I figured that was just some air leaks in the system, and that can cause it to run lean and blah, blah, blah. It turned out it was a bad mass airflow sensor. And once I replaced that, the idle was perfect and has been ever since.
Right. So we bought the car, and the dealership was actually kind of a little envious that we found a car like that. So we knew it was a good find.
Yeah.
And we spent $49,000 on it. Now it was actually listed for $54,000, but because of the windshield having a dink, which it still does, and a couple other items that we found during the PPI, we were able to talk the seller down by $5,000, and that's about right for what this car was.
And what was the mileage on the car?
It was right around 49,000 miles.
Okay. So less than 50.
Yeah.
Okay.
So after we bought the car, Franny, as she mentioned, replaced the mass airflow sensor. So that was $182.50. So
it said we got it off eBay. Now Porsche wants like $800 or $750 for that part. We put in an actual Bosch part with a Porsche part number on it. It's just if you search around, you can get the parts for a lot less.
Right.
But it took me months to find out that it was just the mass airflow sensor. So
right, and so we did start smelling coolant after we had been driving the car a bit, and so we ended up looking around and doing some research on whether or not to actually replace the radiators with original Porsche radiators or an aftermarket set.
Right.
Do you want to talk about why you...
Yeah, so the original Porsche radiators, I believe they're steel with plastic end caps, and they end up sort of weeping after about 6-7 years at those end caps, and that's exactly what was going on with ours. So I looked into, there's a company called CSF that makes racing aluminum, all 100% aluminum radiators for the car, and they had a group buy on one of the forums, and
right, I forgot about that.
Yeah, so
we all got them at the same time.
We did. So we picked up a set of all three, because this one of course has the three. So we got the center radiator and the two side radiators for $1,600. And the Porsche radiators probably would have been about $1,450, so they were a little more expensive. But and we did have a few problems with them, but I'll have to tell you, the folks at CSF were wonderful. They were great. They got back to me on a Sunday afternoon. So total thumbs up for those guys. We did have a few issues with the radiators, and we had to swap them out once or twice, but we got it all sorted in the end. The dealer, once you do that with the radiators, of course, you lose all the coolant. We needed to swap out the coolant anyways. Since we did go back to the dealer and say, look, what's up? You guys totally missed this. Yeah, this is a bummer.
So they gave us coolant.
They did. So they gave us all the coolant. So yeah, the coolant was kind of expensive. So they gave us the coolant, which was nice. But so we got that all taken care of, and I got all that done myself.
We were kind of hoping they'd do that.
Yeah, we would too, but oh well.
So some of the other things we did a fuel filter replace. That was something that they found during the PPI, right?
Yep.
So that was only $45.
Yep.
The high sounding horn, we actually ordered the low sounding one and found out it was the wrong one.
Yeah, they got it wrong on the PPI.
$12.75, not bad. In fact, I think we still have the low horn if anybody needs one.
Yeah.
So radiator hoses. Okay, so
all right. So after we did all the radiators, and this was a year or two after at least, I was out taking a friend out for a ride. She was very interested in buying one of these cars. We were out for a little bit of a test drive and pulled over so we could swap. So we'd been out driving for, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes, pulled over in a side street so that we could swap.
Right.
We swapped, and as we were kind of just barely pulling out, the dash lit up like a Christmas tree and huge steam out of the back of the car. Well, it had split the radiator hose out of the pump. So all the way from connector to connector, and blew all of its radiator fluid on the ground. Had to have the car towed back.
It actually says call towing. No, I'm just kidding. Pretty much. Your whole dash.
Yeah, it pretty much says. It says, do not drive this car.
Right,
exactly,
right.
yeah.
It's pretty bad.
So, so we had the car towed back. That didn't cost anything. But then we, once again, had to replace the radiator fluid that had all flowed out again. And I replaced both of those hoses in the back there. So the one out of the pump is the one that seems to always go bad.
Right.
So we replaced that. They weren't too expensive. What were they?
$143.75.
Yeah. So now it's not too bad.
Not a bad cost at all. And remember, you know, Franny is doing a lot of the work on this and the research and everything else. So, you know, if you don't want to do the work yourself, then probably double or triple the price of everything.
Yeah, it would probably be a little expensive. But the Porsches are easy to work on, and those hoses, they literally just have a clip, and you just pull the clip out, push the new one in, boom, and you're done. It's super easy.
Right. Okay, so Heidi and her lead foot caused us to replace the rear tires.
Yeah.
And so how it works with the turbos is usually it's all four and then the rears, all four, then the rears. And so we got two new rear tires. Those were 1,030/75. I believe they're Michelin Pilot Sports, something like that. So is that what we have?
Yeah, they're big and they're kind of expensive, but they're nice tires. They're really good tires.
And the rear ones are more expensive than the front. So then we had a battery failure. Once again, the dash lit up like a Christmas tree. And that was pretty easy. We just found a battery at Costco.
Yeah.
So, and we're able to replace that for $120.
Not bad.
Right around 60,000 miles, we did the Serpentine Belt.
And that was just kind of preventative. There was nothing wrong. In fact, I still have the old belt. It's just that if that goes, you lose everything all at once, and I didn't want to get the car towed.
So she has the old ones that she saved, and that was only $25.75. Not a bad price for that.
Not too bad.
So then all of our other annual maintenance, you know, either air filters, cabin filters, like every other year, and then the oil changes run us around $86. Air filter $24.53 and cabin filter $23.50.
Yeah.
So basically.
All right. So drum roll. What's the grand total?
Right. So we had a couple other real optional things that
we'll talk about that.
Yeah. So the total that we spent in 4 years on the car minus the tags and the tax for the state of Colorado, $3,884.75. So over 4 years, it's a little less than $1,000 per year.
Yeah. So that's not too bad actually. This is a pretty high performance car, one of the fastest cars you could buy in its day, and to just spend $1,000 on this and that, is really pretty low money. I think
are really solid. I mean, they're very solid. So the couple of the optional items, we actually had a friend selling a set of aftermarket wheels with snow tires on it. We spent $900 on that.
Yep.
And then some optional side marker replacements, make it a little more European looking.
Yeah, the original ones are orange.
For a pair. So you know, so we've spent a little bit more than what we've just estimated, but really that $38,84.76 for 4 years, $1,000 a year. Remember, this car is now 2004. It's 2018, so it's a good solid mathematics here. 14 years old.
And what's the mileage on the car right now?
It's just over 60,000 miles.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we haven't put a ton of mileage on the car.
Right,
but,
we bought it right around 50.
We've definitely driven it,
12,000 or 15,000 miles, probably.
And it's been, short of that one radiator hose blowing, the car's been great and always gotten us home. So It's just been a great car. Really enjoyed it, and surprisingly, yeah. And this is probably Heidi's favorite car to
It
drive.
actually does really well in like snowy, crappy weather because of the all-wheel drive. We just put snow tires on it, and it does a very good job.
Yeah.
The biggest thing I worry about when it's crazy snowy is somebody else running into it.
Yeah, of course.
So, but yeah, I really do like the car. It's my favorite.
All right, well, hope you enjoyed this sort of breakdown on the costs of at least what we've spent on our car since we've owned it. It hasn't been bad, and it's just been a wonderful car. So if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you've got any questions or comments, go ahead and leave them down below, and we'll get right to them.
Yep, we can ask any or answer any other financial questions you might have.
Yep. So thank you so much for watching. So until next time, safe travels.
Bye.